and welcome to the Legal Eagle. My guest on the show today is the youngest woman advocate to be a senior advocate. She is an additional Solicitor General, only the fourth woman to be an additional Solicitor General of India. She is also a crusader advocate, someone who's always advocated for women's causes, championed the causes of women in the army and also armed forces. I welcome on the show Senior Advocate Aishwarya Bhati. Ms. Bhati, as I welcome you on the show and I thank you for being with us, it's a privilege for us to have you here. I want to begin this Legal Eagle at the very start. Your early days, your early momentous career cases and also your school and college days. Take us through that at the very beginning.
Thank you so very much for your kind affections, Rhythm. I must say, it's actually a privilege for me to be here with you all. I saw who all had been here, on this program, on this channel, and I understand that it's a very coveted position to be in. I'm a little skeptical and doubtful. In fact, I know it for sure that I don't deserve to be here. But really, thank you so very much for having me. It's what I would put my life is early life. If you would to speak about, I think 2 or 3 chapters would be important. The first chapter definitely would be Indian Air Force, because I was born in an Air Force household, in an Air Force SSQ, Station Set Sick Quarters as they call, and the early discipline, the focus, trying to mingle around with everyone, moving about, understanding the nation. These are very important aspects of growing up. My mother was a very strong disciplinarian. She brought us up with very, very, very emphatic values. I was the youngest of 3 siblings. The second chapter would be studying in a Kendriya Vidyalaya. So like all Fauji kids, we also studied in Kendriya Vidyalaya. I did. And just studying there, Kendriya Vidyalayas is like pluralism and India at its best, national integration at its best. You are studying with people from across the length and breadth of the country, and from all social stratas. You have friends from everywhere. So that gives you a very interesting, it didn't matter back then, but now when I look back, I realize that those were very important pillars of my early life. And the third very important pillar, chapter of my early life would be National Cadet Corps. So I was a very ardent NCC cadet, so to speak. I enjoyed and got thrilled with all the adventure activities. I was a solo glider pilot, shooting, the RDC camp, paraded on the Rajpath. Got selected for a youth exchange program, went to Canada as a teenager.
So your early cases, because I remember, Ms. Bhatti, I've seen you often in the last decade and a half in the Supreme Court. You've always been championing the cause of women's rights. And I want to, of course, come to a very important case that you've done, that is Permanent Commission for Women in the Army. It's something that's already there in the Air Force, but it's something that you brought across. It was a decade of fight in the Delhi High Court. We saw how it was last year. The Supreme Court finally gave a resounding victory in a historical verdict to the women, giving them permanent commission in the army. More than that, I think it opened up ways for women from a regressive mindset. How do you look at that, and what were also some of your pivotal cases that you did that you recall as being an important part and defining you?
Well, Rhythm, of course, the judgment that you mentioned, that has been a watershed, path-breaking milestone kind of a judgment, which is not just, instrumental for paving way for women getting at par consideration of permanent commission. So what was lacking was at par consideration. And at par consideration for command roles and all positions. Gender cannot be a disqualification, so to speak. And that judgment was also a huge milestone in the manner in which the Supreme Court, in a very resounding manner, said that this is a battle of the mindset, and it's really the stereotypical mindset that is preventing women despite having proven themselves. So it was very interesting. I sometimes, it's very, I think it's very fascinating to note how I ended up in this matter, because not often as a lawyer, we have professional ethics, Rhythm. We can't refuse, briefs when they come to us. And it's not very often that you get matters that go with your grain, something that you feel so strongly about as a person, but the journey of law takes its course in a manner that you end up getting matters which are sort of in the same breath as you would like it to be. So this was definitely one such matter, and the manner in which the Supreme Court completely called out the bluff that was being given in the name of denying women equal opportunities of permanent commission and command positions was incredible. And I think more than anything else, I think if I was to give the credit of this, this landmark judgment, I think the credit would go squarely to the extremely courageous and valorous women officers themselves, who had proven themselves in the service of the nation for almost 3 decades before this judgment came. And the Supreme Court, they laid down examples. If you see the judgment, that we have actually 2 judgments. The Army judgment came in February last year, and then there was the Navy judgment that came in March. So these 2 judgments actually base itself on the examples of exemplary service of women officers displaying courage under fire, where they had themselves been recognized and given gallantry and non-gallantry awards and commendations and recognitions by the Army itself. So the court went on to say that it will be an affront if today, affront to not just these women, but also to their gentlemen counterparts with whom they have been working shoulder to shoulder for 3 decades, and that they have proven their mettle.
Yes, and before I ask my next question, I will tell my viewers, often when I've been at your office near the Supreme Court at Bengali Market, I've seen there are clients who are sitting there, cases you are doing pro bono. Several times they don't have the money to pay you. They might be retired army, civil, they might be retired army personnel, they might be civil people, and you're doing the cases because they've lost their livelihood due to some treacherous movement that has taken place, and you're fighting their battles. And that's why I called you. Very rarely when we have people on the show do we say these are people championing the causes of the common people, and I admire you for that. Ms. Bhati, then I ask you another question. I've seen a very important case that you did where 358 serving officers in the army were represented by you. It's a case we were very proud to speak about. It's a case in which these people were asking for protection and immunity when they are doing their job in areas where AFSPA is enforced. I remember this came after the Jammu and Kashmir cases were bringing up and coming into national headlines. You argued for armed forces. It was an unprecedented case when serving officers moved to Supreme Court and they said we are being persecuted when we are doing our duty and we need some sort of a protection, immunity from wrongful persecution. What was that time like? What were those moments like? Because you stood up for these armed forces, our forces, and we always say at Republic TV, our nation comes first, our forces fight for us, and our forces fought back that time in the top court.
So Rhythm, you're right in bringing that out. It was a very different and a very curious case in some ways. I think what really got me involved in this case, as a Fauji daughter, you have seen the system, you understand this maybe slightly better, because in fact, I always used to tell my father that you were only commissioned in the Air Force. I was literally born in the Air Force. So that feeling of camaraderie, you feel much more. And of course, nation comes first. That's what your upbringing has been. And I've genuinely felt in this also that, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is, just taking you to the issues to a small extent, that this is not, Army's job is the defense of the nation. Army's job is not law and order and, the normal policing duties or civilian duties, etc. It is only when a particular, section of the country or a particular area of the country is facing a proxy war kind of a situation where, enemy from across the border is waging a war which is not a war like a traditional war, but it is a war which is a covert operation where it's these enemy forces who are waging this war, but the policing and the law and order machinery is not able to take care of that. That in that situation, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is applied in that particular region for a particular period of time, as in whatever is felt necessary by the civilian political establishment. This is not a call that army takes. We have to bear this in mind. We have to understand that our army is not like Pakistan. They don't call the shots here. They are a very professional army, and they are they act in terms of the constitutional framework, and it's only the political civilian authorities that take the call. Once you are bringing in the army to take that, to deal with that situation of a proxy war, then if you are going to tie their hands behind their back and blindfold them, and not even give them that basic immunity, that basic protection of operating under that, that they cannot be prosecuted for the bona fide action that they are doing, then it becomes completely counterproductive. It was like it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, we felt that there were some cases where the courts had not been fully mindful of this aspect of the case, and we felt it was necessary. In fact, Major Aditya's case, starting from Shopian, the stone pelting case, that was the first matter that we brought in. And then we realized that we probably needed to bring it on a higher scale. And that's how, I got involved in this matter. Well, unfortunate that we were not able to persuade the court at that point in time. But I'm certain that we haven't heard the last word on it. But I also want to say, one little anecdote. Rhythm, when you mentioned on pro bono matters, I must say that initially I used to feel that I am helping people by taking up their causes and helping them out when they are not able to afford. But I realized that it was the other way around, and I had no capacity to help anyone. And the kind of prayers, the kind of blessings, the kind of goodwill, the kind of affections that you get of people who genuinely have a case. And when you're doing a pro bono matter, you actually assess the merits of the matter much better, and you advise the clients that, well, if there is this point, if you feel that you want to argue this matter, then I will do your matter. Otherwise, we won't take this matter any further. It doesn't make sense to just go in the system without having any chance of succeeding or without having any merit. So I think I am grateful that I got these opportunities of doing pro bono work, which has not just added to my personality, my learning, my growing up, my fathoming the world a little better. But I think my journey has been made so much easier and so much spectacular, much more than what my wildest dreams could have taken me. And I think it's the strength of those prayers and blessings of amazing people who I have encountered in my life.
Yes, that's a very beautiful thing to say. And I remember when you were doing the Major Aditya case, Lieutenant Colonel Karamveer Singh was at your office and he spoke to us. He spoke about Major Aditya's pregnant wife at that time. She was pregnant, the difficult time they were going through. And I remember him talking about it at that time, and he said that my son was doing his bona fide military duty. He's being persecuted because there were stone pelters, there were terrorists at that place, and he shot at them trying to save his armed forces personnel. So where was a strategy that was being deployed in 2018 going wrong when they started persecuting their very own Miss Bhatti at that time?
Well,
from the state government,
we shouldn't take this matter very far, because I'm just saying that this matter is still sub judice. It's still pending before the court. The court has framed important questions to be determined. But all that I can tell you is that the whole strategy, the whole foundation for really bringing these matters to the highest constitutional court was that, what was happening was that human rights, fundamental rights of this just one group of people was being talked about. Whereas, what we often forget is that there are two sides to a coin. It's not like, that defense personnel are, it's not like they're commissioned and they're recruited to die in the service of nation. They are recruited and commissioned to do a job as a professional army, but their hands have to be strengthened. So what about the human rights of the innocent victims of terrorist attacks, etc.? So we felt that it was extremely important for this part of the narrative, which was, obviously, you don't have serving personnel in the courts of law, otherwise, apart from their service matters or pension matters, etc. So it was important for this whole side of the story, which was completely away from the public eye, to be there. And I think in a democracy, it is important for these to be told in the public view, in the public air.
I started off by saying, Ms. Bhati, you are the youngest women senior advocate in the country today. You're also an additional Solicitor General. When it comes to women in the judiciary, it's a critical question that I have to ask you as a woman. Do you think that it's become a male bastion and it's time that women get their role in the judiciary? Several people are talking about this. They are saying there need to be more women judges. There have hardly in the last 73 years been 9 women judges in the Supreme Court, and there have been over 270, 260 judges in the Supreme Court. The statistics is alarming. What is the way ahead when women need to also get that treatment in the judiciary, in the legal services?
So, Rhythm, the first caveat is I'm not really sure if I am the youngest woman senior. I was one of the youngest when I was designated 2 years back by the Supreme Court, but I'm not sure. I mean, there are amazing, wonderful women, younger women lawyers who have been designated by high courts across the country, and I feel proud of that. But having said that, let me take your question completely head on. It's not becoming a male bastion. It has always been a male bastion, and now slowly it's withering away as a male bastion. So litigation, has always, it has repelled women, and repelled women not just as a profession. I think the reason somewhere is again the same reason that that the Supreme Court was dealing with in the Permanent Commission matter. It is the societal stereotypical mindset that women are the principal caregiver. If she's taking up a job, it's more like a hobby. How can a woman have a profession? How can a woman have a livelihood? When I was taking admission in law, I come from Rajasthan. My law class used to look like 60 out of 60 students, 4 or 5 used to be barely girls. And we used to exchange notes, and most of the girls, their parents used to be told by the larger family or the society, लॉ करवा रहे हो, इसकी शादी कौन करेगा, ये फिर वहां इन-लॉज को जाके कानून बताएगी, इससे कोई शादी नहीं करने वाला. So the whole societal mindset has always, deterred women to come into the profession. And then this profession is also it's a very top heavy profession in the sense that it takes very long time. It's not like, you can, catch the ground running. It takes a very, very long time for you to establish as a young lawyer, and irrespective of your gender, for men as well as women. But if you're a woman, then it also clashes with your matrimonial timeline, with your biological timeline of becoming a mother, with your responsibilities. So the society expects far more from you as a person. And that's why this profession did not really attract women in hordes that it should have. But things have changed. Rhythm, today's law classes, see, the biggest difference is there. Today's law schools do not look like anything that they used to look like 30 years back, 25 years back. Today, young girls are taking up law as a profession, as a challenge, and there are hordes of it. Let me give you one more statistic. I always believe, I'm of the view that Justice Indu Malhotra is, or when she spoke about at her own farewell, she said that merit cannot be compromised, and you can't have women paratrooping on the top. You have to have women coming in as foot soldiers, working their way through, gaining the experience, gaining the merit, the wisdom, and slowly, getting ready into the system to lead. So you can't paratroop, neither men nor women can be paratrooped right on the top. The system will collapse that way. So, but I'll tell you, the biggest hope is, again, from my home state, Rajasthan. Rajasthan, incidentally, till today, I am the only woman lawyer that Rajasthan, has ever had a woman lawyer as designated as a senior. And Rajasthan has not even brought a single woman lawyer on the bench. Not yet in the last 74 years. But let me tell you, in the judiciary, in the lower judiciary, so which is the magisterial judiciary and the district level judiciary, for the last 10-15 years, women are coming in huge numbers. 60%, 70% women are coming in as judges in the lower judiciary and the middle levels of the judiciary. Now, these women who have come in 15 years back, 10 years back, when they work their way through, and women work with dedication and sincerity. because the atmosphere is more hostile, so they work a little extra to prove their point. They have to, and that actually makes them a asset to the institution. It actually brings the balance into the institution, where we have one half of the population actually reflecting their presence in true numbers. But the real change will really happen, like Justice RBG said, when somebody asked her how many would be enough, and she said all 21. When all 21 are women, that would be enough. And the questionnaire, the guy who was asking the question said, "You want all to be women?" She said, "Well, nobody raised an eyebrow for all these years when all 21 were men. So why should there be a problem if all 21 are women?" So, there you go. We have a long way to march, but it has to be a merit-based march, and it's changing very, very rapidly, faster than you and I can really fathom and understand right now.
Yes, absolutely. You're also the fourth woman additional Solicitor General in India, and you're currently the Additional Solicitor General. I've seen you often in the COVID cases. I just want to not ask you about a matter that is sub judice, but I think in the past 1 month, Ms. Bhati, India has moved forward in trying to fight positively COVID-19, because the kind of statements that are also coming in from the Prime Minister have been extremely positive. Passed on Monday that said that states will now not have to pay a single penny for the vaccines. This is very clearly an indication that whatever issues the states were having will also be solved. Is there now an understanding that we can say has now been reached that India will now be able to tackle COVID-19?
You're taking me down a slippery slope, Rhythm. I don't want to really talk about the matters that I am doing. It's not appropriate for me to speak about it. But all that I can tell you is that as a union law officer, I have been privy to the kind of work that has happened and has been happening, the kind of focus, the kind of incisive response that the machinery is responding to COVID. Of course, it's not a happy situation. This is not a situation that anyone of us would have wanted. But the point is, how are we responding to it? This is not a situation of our creation, but it is the response that will define us. But like any other problem in life, it is not the problems that define us. It is how we deal with those problems that define us. And I'm sure that is what will define us as a nation. In the short term, it's easy to look at, low-hanging fruit and what really, appeals to us from the close quarters. But when we will look back and when history will judge the response of our nation, I am certain that we will have some interesting conclusions to ponder upon.
Yes, I've seen you in the Delhi High Court, in the Supreme Court, and these are difficult times, and I do believe that the centre has taken it very head on. As I thank you for your time, Ms. Bhati, today on this show, I also want to say that you left me with a big, broad smile when you said that possibly there would be a day soon in India where we could see in the Supreme Court 21 women judges. Aiming to that and hoping that happens, from a woman editor, an anchor, to a women senior advocate. I thank you for your time in the Legal. It's been wonderful, not only because I truly believe that in the legal profession and otherwise women are making it very strongly come forward, but also, like you said, and like Justice Malhotra said, it is merit that has to be proven, and women have to move forward with merit. I thank you for your time on the Legal.
Amen, and thanks so very much.